just, before we get started, I want to apologize on behalf of David, Gary, and myself. You know, we really are sorry to be late to this meeting, but we were living island life and we were on video and they overloaded and suffered.
And you mean they didn't give you priority?
No, you better go talk to the top.
No, they would have shot them. There would have been a hanging.
Absolutely.
It's good to, you know, hang out with the locals on the line and understand the challenges.
We had checked you. We really appreciate that.
To call the meeting to order. And first of all, I think we have a request here for something you'd like to film the meeting. Does anybody have any objections to the meeting being recorded?
We certainly don't. As BC Ferries, there's lots of media at most of our FAC meetings.
Yeah. And I think previous meetings have been, so I'm not hearing any objections, so you can go ahead and film.
Thanks. Be asked.
And let's just go around and do introductions, maybe starting with you, Giffen.
Giffen Rose, Hornby Island Fire Chief.
Denise McKean, and I'm representing Denman Works.
Frank Furtich, Denman residents.
Teresa Winter for the Denman Seniors.
John Ralston, Denman Island Emergency Services.
I'm Corey Story. I'm the Vice President of Customer Service for BC Ferries, and I'm the FAC, I guess, executive sponsor.
Tony Loff, representing the Hornby Local Trust Committee and chair of this committee.
David Henry, Director of Strategic Planning for BC Ferries.
And Rob McCreary from Hornby, representing the Hornby Ratepayers Association.
Laura Beshaken from Denman Island, representing the Denman Local Trust Committee.
Dennis Lavalley from Denman Island, representing the Denman Community School.
Elspeth Armstrong at Hornby, New Horizons Society. Old farts.
Donna Tuelli, businesses on Hornby, and I just want to stay up front that I couldn't rearrange childcare this afternoon. I'm looking after grandchildren and I will have to leave early. So just
totally our fault. Sorry.
And I'll have to slip out about 5.
So minutes will be critically important to be received quickly.
And Darren Gannett, Public Affairs Manager, and the main link between the committee and BC Ferries.
And also with us,
Talk to the quarter, Alda Comic, Marine Superintendent.
And Jeff West, Terminal Operations Superintendent.
okay. So just an introduction, I'd like to say a couple of things. You know, really appreciate having these meetings and the time and effort you put into organising them around the coast. And I'd like to say that while I've always experienced a lot of responsiveness, not always necessarily the responsive we want in dealing with BC Ferries, and realise that you're not core decision makers in this room, but I'd also like to say, having been involved in ferry advocacy for 18 years, I don't think I've experienced the level of frustration that we're experiencing right now. We're in the front line, we hear it all the time. Sometimes we're even blamed for part of what's going on. And so if you hear frustration from us, it's not directed at you. We'll try and express it respectfully, but it does reflect what we're hearing from our communities. The next thing I want to, we've got a pretty heavy agenda, and before the meeting I sent an email to try and prioritise those things that we feel that we really need to address at this meeting, and maybe we can, particularly as the time has changed a bit, try and deal with the core issues first. And we see the issues around schedule and related issues as being priority ones for us, particularly looking at the off-peak schedule. We've had some discussion around the Hornby traffic and 8 AM sailing. Now we haven't reached a conclusion there. We might want to follow up on that. And there's some related issues around the cut-off times for connecting sailings. We've heard there might be some policy, and we want to get clarity about that. Possibly following up on bus schedules. There's an interest on Denman in looking at service adjustments that might enable later sailings. And then I think perhaps after that we would want to hear update around the cable ferry and related terminal issues. And there's a couple of operational issues that I think we'd want to address at this meeting with respect to the night watch position, and also I think it's a little bit information on the shuttling sign at Buckley Bay. So, and there's one item that I heard at our little meeting would like added to the agenda, and that's around, we would put that down as key, which is around capacity statistics, is that right?
Utilization?
Capacity utilization statistics, yes. I'm aware of two members of the public. Is the other? She?
Judy?
Judy,
She hasn't arrived back yet.
She coming back?
She said she was.
Okay. I was just wondering about, doing the public presentations first, that they could leave, and we'll ask you to be brief as we've got a long agenda. Is that okay for people? And maybe we could also do a superintendent's operation report.
So our same format we've used the last couple of meetings, where we start with kind of what's happened in the recent past.
So just as we're set up there, obviously the one thing that everybody's been dealing with, and myself and Peter and Tony and Jeff have all been working on schedules and adjustments to schedules. It's been an ongoing thing as we're just trying to work towards some sort of a resolution that works for both islands, right? It really hurts because what happens is you try and you set it for one island, and then all of a sudden it conflicts with the other islands. Just trying to find that balance. Cable ferry, Jeff can speak to the terminal work, which is set to start pretty quickly. The ship itself will be starting in construction. They estimate sometime September, October when they finalize the designs for it. Apart from that, the senior master, Route 21, Captain Hickson will be transitioning to a new job down south, the senior master on the Clitson Mill Bay. His family's moved south, so he wants to go with them. And so we're going to be posting that job, and we'll make sure, I'll ensure, I can guarantee that the transition, he won't be released until we're sure that there's a good transition, that whoever comes into the job is aware of everything that's going on, so that you don't lose anything with the change. Okay? And we get into the usual, and Teresa, there's no graphs, just numbers. So the traffic is down 2.4, which is actually better than last year, which was 4%.
Yeah.
So we have a slight decrease.
Sorry, I'll just remind everybody, these are May 2013 to April 2014, so it's the latest 12 rolling months versus the same 12 months before that. So it's down 2% from the latest 12 to the 12 before.
So we have basically Route 21 minus 2.5, and then Route 22 minus 1.2 for vehicles, and then just a slight decrease in passengers. On-time performance, as usual, stellar for both routes, 99%, 99% for both routes. And that's basically, that would be, Jeff can talk to that.
Yeah, I can fill in some blanks. So the construction for the cable ferry at both Denman West and Buckley Bay is imminent. We expect to see the crews arriving on June 2nd. So we're going to be putting out a service notice by the end of this week with all the details around what to expect. But I think the main message there is normal ferry service will continue throughout this process. You'll see changes to traffic patterns. You'll have people doing flagging on the terminals, getting you where you need to go, and certain sections of the terminal will be boarded off. At Denman West, we're accommodating the vendor there so that she can still be in business. The goal of the project is to have the new system in place and running in the summer of 2015. And there's two phases to these projects. There's the marine work, building the berths for the cable ferry and laying the cable and the winches, etc. And then there's the uplands work where we're filling up the terminal to the south on the Denman West side. So expect to see this out to the public by the end of this week, and it'll give a thumbnail. But again, we're not expecting any disruption during the construction.
Thanks, Jeff. Now, the one last thing that's not mentioned on there is that the Cloaky is going for a refit. She'll be going in October for a month, and the replacement vessel will be the Tanaka. For once we finalize, I think it's October 15th. So we'll make sure everybody has plenty of heads up notice with that, because as you're aware, Tanaka has limited overhead.
That's for a month, is it, you said?
That's what a month, yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question about the terminal. How things end up with the boat launch? I know there was a big effort to relocate. Is that happening?
Yeah, we have an update for you on sort of late breaking, Frank.
Late breaking.
Yeah. So the issue for us was, and we don't want to bore you with our internal processes, but it was a funding issue, whether it's a capital project or not. And anyway, we sorted that out, and Green's committed to fund this project. And we're now working with our project management fellows, and they're working to assign a project manager, which we talked about previously. And there's a lot of land issues to sort out, or a lot of parcel issues to sort out, as well as environmental permits. So they currently don't have a project manager assigned, but we're funded. And it could be somewhat complex to get all the property issues sorted and get the final design, but we do have the design I think that you've seen, which is tucked in next to the Dura property there for the marina. Timeline, it's probably a long lead item. It's probably up to a year to get that all sorted out and built. But at least we're sort of on a pathway now that we're going to have a solution there.
Okay, thanks.
Does that make sense?
Sounds good.
Thanks very much. That's very good.
Sorry for it to leave you hanging there.
Yeah.
Okay, when you do the service notice, you'll be warning people that they won't find parking down here?
Correct.
Thank you.
There won't be parking.
There'll be restrictions. There'll be the area along the bank where currently people are launching boats. That'll be impacted right away. And it'll come and go. It'll be in phases, but it will be an impact.
You'll still always have access to the little park down there for the...
Yeah, we're not blocking that.
Right.
Thanks for your work on that. One question I have is that we've been hearing some rumblings about Transport Canada looking at crewing levels for cable ferries. Can you throw any light on that process and what effect it might have on this cable ferry?
Transport Canada has in the past for certain cable ferries in Canada, been involved with the regulation of the licensing of vessels. And Transport Canada always involves themselves with the minimum safety net. That's what they hold on to. With the minor vessels, they're also involved with the inspection and regulation of the minor vessels. Historically in the past, they've not touched any of the cable ferries in the interior of British Columbia. And at the latest meeting in Ottawa, Cap Marshall, the VP of Fleet Ops, was notified that they're looking at this, looking at actually making it standard across Canada. So we're, Cap Marshall is liaising with Transport Canada to find out exactly to what extent they're going to be involved with it.
Captain Marshall, is it?
Yeah.
Any further questions on the report?
Just, I'd like a little more clarification because people come to me and they say, well, I've heard, and I like to be as clear as I can in the answers. So what people are saying is, I've heard Transport Canada has ordered that there be at least 5 staff, 5 crew on the boat. That's just not true.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
Right? We make the application to Transport Canada. We do the calculations. We present it to Transport Canada. Transport Canada then discusses it or approves it.
Okay.
Okay. So there's no number at all that's been talked about.
Okay, the entire input comes from you at the management of BC Ferries?
Yes. Yeah.
Just follow up, so will Transport Canada, do they have to give their blessing before you can go ahead with that?
With?
The cable ferry?
No.
As it stands right now?
What they do, the only impact they have as of now.
As of now
is they have the ability to dictate the crew size or have the ability to go in and like I said, traditionally they don't get involved in it, but they have said that they're interested in getting involved in it.
And is it possibly because of your crossing on an ocean rather than a river inland?
No. No, because they...
You're not sure about that?
No, they deal with Quebec, which is all freshwater.
Yeah, I know,
So
but this is an ocean.
Yeah, well, that's right.
The last time I heard,
Yeah.
So I just wondered if that was the distinction.
No.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. So the other person who was making the presentation hasn't arrived. Should we wait till she comes or should we...
She might not be back.
Sorry?
She might not even be back.
Yeah, that's very possible.
Okay. So Richard, this is time for a public presentation, so I assume you'd like to make one, so Can you do it in 4 or 5 minutes? We've got quite a long agenda.
Just a question on the deployment of the Tanaka,
Okay.
that's all.
The question is?
Is it currently at Keats Gambier? And are we responsible for the refit when she's just foot passenger vessel?
You're talking Tanaka?
Or Techa, which?
Tanaka's coming to Route 22. Tanaka's presently right now on Route 24, which is Cortez to Quagga Island. And she's going for a refit in August, and then when she comes out of refit, she'll come, in October, she'll come to Hornby Island.
So she's not going to Gambier then?
No,
to Langley?
she's a car carrier.
Okay.